Hi, Sameer. Firstly, thank you for joining us today and taking part in this video series that we're putting together looking at AI agents and agentic AI. Well, welcome to the conversation, firstly.
Thank you, Trevor. I'm glad to be here.
glad to have your insights, because I know you guys work with one of the core elements, i.e., data. And
Hmm.
we'll talk about that a little bit later. But
Yeah.
let me just kind of tee up what we're discussing through this series. AI has been spoken about for a lot, came into sort of mainstream about 18 months, 2 years ago, I guess, when Chat GPT landed and suddenly everyone's now into AI.
Hmm.
2025 seems to be still about AI, but shifted towards AI agents,
Hmm.
and then how that will evolve around the whole agentic AI piece. But a lot of what seems to be written or discussed at events really has a focus towards the impact for people like myself when I'm traveling, like you when we're traveling, and how it might affect the way that we search and eventually book.
Hmm.
It's also been positioned in terms of how hotels can be using AI to get rid of repetitive tasks, find some greater efficiencies. One of the things, because we have so many technology providers, one of the questions that I had was, okay, this is all well and good with this new technology, but how will it impact on hotel providers like you guys?
Hmm.
So that's the angle that we really wanted to take and to look at, and probably start the conversation just by looking at two sides of the coin, i.e., what opportunities this brings, but
Hmm.
also what threats it might also bring to the table. So I always like to be positive. So let's start with the positive. So AI agents, agentic AI, what opportunities do you feel that is going to bring to hotel tech providers?
Sure. So, at HotelIQ, we focus largely on commercial intelligence. Our heaviest user base is revenue management, sales, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest kind of, opportunities that I see in front of me are, first of all, in just pricing and revenue management itself. You can automate a lot of decision making. You can set rules
Mm-hmm.
and you can let the machine kind of run day-to-day transactions. Uh, then there's the opportunity within kind of predictive analytics that's been there for a while, and we're continuing to build upon that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing to kind of look at historical data and say this is a forecast based on, random forest or whatever methodologies you're using and whatever ML and AI we're using.
Mm-hmm.
But then to be able to take it to the next level and say, we're seeing an opportunity for growth in these markets, or we're seeing a decline in these geographic markets, these booking channels, or these market segments, or a combination of those. And imagine if you had an AI agent that could take that intelligence and say, all right, let's schedule a campaign that goes out targeting those specific markets that you want to grow,
Mm-hmm.
or you want to redirect to, um, or even kind of responding to social media posts,
Yep.
uh, being able to kind of t handle things as they come in. Uh, with especially we live in a global world, people travel across time zones. It's not possible to have humans present 24/7 to respond. I mean,
Sure.
technically it is, you could outsource it,
Well,
but
yeah, of course.
in terms of the if you want to standardize your responses, you can really kind of take care of all the level one kind of troubleshooting with agentic AI.
Yeah, those kind of
And
those basic fundamental questions, queries they call it.
yeah, basic fundamental questions. So, I ate at your restaurant and my steak was cold or whatever. Like, so, sorry you had this experience. We try our best to provide the best whatever experience, and I'll direct this to the right person. I'll send an email to the right person, facilitate that to kind of bring it to some sort of happy conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, AI can play an important role in really facilitating things.
Yep.
Where I think it gets a little bit trickier is when you lack that human supervision.
Okay.
So you got to make sure that that human oversight is there to kind of guide these opportunities.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense. And a lot of that, a lot of your initial response there was geared externally. So, what could be utilized within hotel tech solutions to there be aiding the hoteliers themselves? We're hearing stories as we're going through this series of how hotel tech providers are also looking internally of how
Mhm.
they can be utilizing agents to be improving their own efficiencies. Is that an area where you guys at HotelIQ are exploring, or is it still very much focused on the how can we utilize it to be enhancing the solution that's to the advantage of our
Well,
clients?
I mean, it's all interconnected, right? So we talked about predictive analytics.
Mm-hmm.
It naturally kind of then progresses into scheduling your staff, right?
Yeah.
Shifts. When are you going to be busy? Doing other planning activities.
Mm-hmm.
So and again, AI can facilitate that too. So it's about also kind of getting these different systems to start talking to one another.
Yeah.
Uh, so the more they talk to each other, the more you can automate, and the more AI agents can play a crucial role in kind of in the day-to-day operations, in the back-end processes. And pricing and revenue management, like I said, that's a back-end process that has been reliant on AI for some time now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just getting more and more sophisticated with every day.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Um, Flipping the coin over and looking
Mhm.
at some of the threats. Um, what do you? I've got some points I want to draw up, some real specific ideas I came up with that
Mhm.
could be it's just my AI hallucinating, but I'll run I'll run them past you in a moment. But generally, just throwing over the question to you initially, where do you see the threats to existing hotel tech providers from this arrival of AI agents and the evolution into agentic AI?
Well, it's funny that you started with hallucinations because when you asked me the question about like what's the biggest threat that I see uh, is data fragmentation.
Mm-hmm.
Data quality, lack of standardization is a huge risk to
Yeah.
AI,
Yeah.
right? If you don't have the right integrations, the right APIs in place, that's a huge risk to AI. If
Mm-hmm.
information is not flowing in on time, uh, it can make wrong decisions, or it can just hallucinate and be tempted to kind of just give an answer because it needs to give an answer.
Yeah.
So really what we need to do is um, first of all, if my advice to every hotelier who's looking at investing in agentic AI is look at your data. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of dull, it's boring, but you need good data management solutions.
Yeah.
You need to have master data management and you need to be on top of your data quality. Once you have standardization, that can then you can bring in AI agents on top of that to say, okay, well, all the facts are there, all the integrations are there, information is flowing readily and correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and we are staying on top of our data quality so the AI agents can act upon it. Right. So
Yeah.
that I would say that's like the number one threat. And then the other threat is, okay, you did all of that, but you could still have this kind of over dependence on a black box solution.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people can actually explain to you uh, the with certainty how AI is making decisions, right? At the end of the day, it is the cool thing about AI is it's evolving, right? It's learning with data as it's flowing in. But just like humans, as we go through a learning process, we make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of how we get smarter. I think with AI, you have to be very, very careful not to be overly dependent on it, at least not this early on in its evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to allow AI to evolve to the point where it can kind of independently do this. And then on the other side, you can also have just adoption resistance from within the company.
Yep.
I don't want to kind of show my dad in a bad light, but I remember when we first started using GPSs, he hated it. He's like,
Right.
I know this city better than any machine,
Yeah.
and you will have people who will resist it.
Yeah.
They are used to doing things a certain way. They don't want AI. And so AI has to prove itself worthy to them.
Hmm.
And in a way, they are the old guards. You need them in your organization too, to kind of challenge the AI and say, okay, is it really making the best recommendation?
Yeah.
Can AI win them over? So you got to work with them to challenge AI and at the same time bring them to kind of change and say, okay, fine, I can now start using AI myself,
That makes,
uh,
yeah.
and facilitate that. And then lastly, I mean, like you go to any of these conferences, you read articles in the industry publications, everybody's talking about AI. But AI is expensive. AI requires investment and it requires patience.
Hmm.
So while it's exciting and there's a little bit of pressure even on hotel organizations, on vendors to
Hmm.
invest in AI, you have to really kind of look at your budget and be smart and realistic and say,
Hmm.
how much am I willing to kind of invest at this point and justify the ROI?
Yeah.
And that budget constraint can really be a factor too in kind of limiting your AI capabilities.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I want to come back to something that you mentioned because we're going to talk a little bit. I've got some other questions to you around data, but just picking up your point about the fragmented data piece.
Hmm.
Um, do you think uh, uh, as this evolves,
Hmm.
one of the questions I pose myself, or when I look out on the hotel tech sector, and I think, right, okay, if if somehow we can see the value of consolidating this data, having it less fractured, having it structured properly so we can access it, however that is going to happen. Okay,
Hmm.
that's the starting point. Do you envisage a scenario where maybe we start, because we've started to see some consolidation already, but where we start to see, you know, larger platforms, larger companies developing this core data solution, for want of a better term,
Hmm.
and then they acquire other companies that have maybe, developed chatbot solutions or various other AI driven solutions that utilize that data, that they get consolidated, get acquired, ultimately then disappear off the market. Do you see there being a shrinking down around bigger companies that just offer multiple different, here's a data source, we'll pile all your data into it, clean it up, and then we'll have these agents that will run on top of it? Or do you
Hmm.
still think it will be the different level of providers with different solutions talking through APIs that we have now?
So consolidation is rampant in hotel tech right now, right? We're seeing every day more and more companies getting consolidated, whether you have Actable or Hotelier, but then you're also seeing partnerships become more prevalent at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, where
Mm-hmm.
people are like, well, let's just focus on best of breed. So, and what that allows for is, you don't have to buy all or nothing.
Yep.
While there is a case to be made that, hey, you just deal with one vendor and then they give you everything, your whatever their weaknesses are now all your weaknesses too. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if you have vendors who are talking to one another and who are more flexible, then you can choose best of breed and get it to work together.
Okay.
And so yes, to answer your question, yes, I do see a certain degree of consolidation happen, but I don't think I hope not, that we would find ourselves in a situation where there's a monopoly of hospitality tech providers who are just kind of like dominating the space. We benefit greatly from entrepreneurship and new startups coming in and introducing technology on an ongoing basis. And I don't see that changing anytime in the near future. So you'll just continue to see a lot of these new AI agents pop up on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But key will be then for them to be able to partner with existing technology providers, which again, right now in the AI space, everybody's still learning, everybody's still experimenting. It's much easier to partner with someone, try it out, see how well it works, pilot it with a couple of common customers,
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Yay, we have a successful solution." Versus, and if it doesn't work, fine, go try something else.
Yeah.
Versus consolidation. So I think we'll see more collaboration. Uh, but yeah, consolidations are just
Bit of
part of the
consolidation, but
nature of
more
technology and
collaboration,
continue to
and
happen.
then more innovation, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So, looking at drawing that, not a straight comparison, but thinking, are we going to see a divide in technology providers and the bigger getting bigger, so to speak? I want to
Yeah.
pose the same question, but this time from the hotel groups, hotel brands perspective. I'd like to
Mhm.
get your views on whether you think we may start to see a a divide occur from an approach to technology. I'm talking here
Mhm.
between the major brands and the very large management companies as compared to smaller groups or independent hotels. And what I'm driving at here is, I can imagine if I'm in one of the top four brands in the world, they're very smart people. One of them we've even been seen as being investing or seem to be doing a lot of recruiting into their data and AI teams. It
Mhm.
isn't a massive leap to think that one or not more of them are going to be sitting there. They recognize the value of their data. You
Yep.
think of what they've done with their loyalty programs. If they were to look more internally, look at developing a consolidated, clean data platform, and then working either with consultancies or hiring in talent or however they may do it, but building these agents on top of their data platform,
Mhm.
then to me, that would kind of say, well, to a lot of the hotel tech providers that are out there, that poses a potential threat and challenge because now they're bringing the technology in house. Now they're developing their clean, consolidated data platform. It's like they're almost cutting themselves away from having to rely on third party. And so, would we see third party providers needing to focus more on the smaller groups and independent hotels as the major brands start to develop themselves? So, welcome your thoughts. You're dealing right across the sector, so you've got a much better idea than I would of how this is
Yeah, no, I
developing.
think that the scenario you're painting out is quite realistic. A lot of the bigger brands, the IAGs and Hiltons of the world, they have the bandwidth and the capability to go out and invest in larger data platforms in their own Azure cloud, Google Cloud, whatnot. And they're bringing in technologies to develop their own AI agents.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so there's certainly the opportunity to kind of come in and build a full custom stack
Mm-hmm.
that is customized to the needs of your brand and to continue to manage that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's also the question of what business are you in? Are you in the business of hospitality or are you in the business of technology? We've seen, over the throughout the history, Holodex was developed by Holiday and IAG acquired that. That was a big thing. There was, from what I read, Holodex was one of the main reasons IAG bought Holiday. And so
Okay.
your technology stack even today can become one of your strongest assets.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what we've seen is uh, a lot of the big brands too are now moving towards third-party vendors just because of the amount of effort it takes to maintain that technology stack and to
Yeah.
keep it competitive, right?
Yeah.
It's constant learning, constant innovation, constant investment. So I think that we will see kind of where I see this going eventually. I mean, we already kind of see that a little bit with our core investing in Edge and similar companies. Is a lot of these brands are going to start investing, in my opinion, in third-party vendor solutions that they will use in-house too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it makes more sense to then open it up, let the smaller guys in too, and without being even a franchisee, I'm kind of paying Hilton now through a back door. But I'm leveraging that technology, and Hilton has now a standalone solution that they own that's profitable on its own, that's running on its own, and Hilton continues to be a strong kind of voice in its evolution. So
Yeah.
I think that that's the direction we're going to see more of the industry moving. Uh, you will still have, yes, technology stacks that will be built in-house, but if history taught us anything, eventually those do end up getting abandoned because it's not the primary purpose of
Yeah.
starting a
Yeah. Yeah.
hotel
Yeah.
company, and you can't at the pace at which technology is evolving now is only 10x, right? So
Yeah.
if Holiday X had to eventually retire, these things are going to retire even faster unless you're constantly investing in it.
Yeah. That
And
makes
so I don't
sense.
know if hotel companies want to be that ingrained in it because again, that's not the purpose of
Yeah,
starting a hotel.
maybe be involved in some degree, but through an investment
Yeah,
option
through
rather
an
than
investment
actually
is more
developing
likely.
it in
So I
house.
think
Yeah, I
for
get that.
vendors, there's more opportunity now,
Yeah.
uh, because you might find it's easier for hotel brands to invest in these vendors
Hmm.
than to build it all in-house
I can
and
see that.
maintain it all in-house.
I can see that. Third angle to get your
Mhm.
viewpoint on. Current technology providers who are spending a lot of time and investment in developing their AI agents on their
Mhm.
platform, but who aren't currently targeting the hotel industry. You know, I mean, I'll use Salesforce as an example, but that tends to be targeted in one specific area. But you know, you read, you hear about other companies that are working with other corporate entities, and they have AI agents that are looking at their specific operations, not in the hotel industry. And I wonder whether that's a potential threat, that crossover from other platforms and solutions that may be more advanced in other industries and start to look at the hotel industry as one to explore.
To a certain extent, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what we're seeing is that those kinds of platforms like Salesforce, let's just go with them, they are partnering up with hospitality verticals
Mm-hmm.
and specialists rather than trying to break into the industry themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole different infrastructure that you need when you're in retail versus hospitality, for
Mm-hmm.
example, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want to see my guest profile, yes, but I also want to know agency profiles, and I want to know what's the difference between the agency and the company profile,
Yeah.
and meeting planners, and third-party agents that are facilitating travel on behalf of executives, and who's the booker versus who's the guest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
There's
data is
complexities within it, isn't
it
there?
requires a great degree of customization, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That it's much easier to use Happy or someone who's kind of an expert in hospitality or
Mm-hmm.
HotelIQ to
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, I'm gonna put all this data in, and then you connect to Salesforce or Microsoft or Power BI or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So the tools are all out there, yes, and those big players are out there, but it's it's again a matter of who has the bandwidth and the expertise
Yeah.
to take those tools and customize it to the needs of the hotel industry
It's that
and be able
nuanced
to do it in a
understanding of the
cost-efficient
hotel
manner.
industry. Sorry.
Sorry. I was just saying that in addition to bandwidth, who can do it in a cost-efficient manner?
Yeah,
So vendors are again in that situation where they can go to AWS, Google, Salesforce, and Microsoft, see what those guys are building, adopt it for hospitality,
yeah,
and then scale it out within the industry at a lower risk for those big vendors as well as for the hotels
yeah. No, that
to
makes
have
sense.
that middleman in between.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, who knows? I mean, Salesforce, Microsoft may decide that we'll just acquire these middle tier vendors and
Indeed, and
make
just
them
roll it in.
Microsoft
Yeah,
hospitality.
yeah. Who knows? Good point.
Yeah.
Um, as you mentioned earlier, the D word, data. Obviously, all of this hangs on data.
Sure.
It hangs on it being, you know, consolidated, structured. You guys have the correct terminology for this. So I guess one of what I'm driving at here, and why I just want to touch on this for a little moment, is because it's becoming more and more the lifeblood now of how you kind of got two sides of it. It's like the operational side, the guest side of it, and providing the hospitality is one bit, but then
Mhm.
actually the commercial and being able to function and driving efficiencies is coming. The lifeblood is the data that exists within the hotel and how that's being utilized. So I see two potential challenges for hoteliers if they have owners or investors that are saying, hey, come on, we need to be something, we need to be doing something about these AI agents, we need to be getting on this bandwagon, what are we doing? I mean,
Mhm.
for me, I see two challenges: the internal challenge, which you've alluded to, and then I've got some points on the external side, which I'd like to get your view on. But talk to me first and foremost about the internal challenge, because you guys are having to deal with this day in, day out with your decision intelligence tool. What
Yeah.
are the challenges that exist in the hotel space in just trying to pull the data together to be able to use all that is available?
So, first of all, there's lack of standardization. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this may sound like a little thing, but if for your geo mix, for example, the code for the United States is US at one hotel and USA at another hotel,
Mm-hmm.
now you have two different codes for the same country,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you just kind of see that across booking channels, across room types, multiple codes, multiple kind of data reference points. So the first thing that hotels need to invest in is master data management.
Yeah.
That is something as a decision intelligence platform, we've kind of made that our top priority.
Mm-hmm.
There's no report, no dashboard that you can benefit from. There's no AI predictive or alerting or agentic that can do much for you if you're not on top of your master data management.
Mm-hmm.
So, master data management, I think, is like the biggest area where I would kind of see a challenge internally within the hotel industry.
No, that makes
And
sense.
and that's what our focus is really try to address that piece.
Yeah. Externally, one of the one factor that we face a lot in being close to Europe. I hate talking about the UK and Europe ever since the whole Brexit discussion. We'll leave that. But GDPR. I mean
Yeah.
that is a massive issue. So I mean data compliance, because California, obviously Europe, as we've mentioned, the UK. I mean it's just a bit of a minefield. So
Yes.
if you're suddenly going to be having agents accessing data, and we're away from the agentic bit at the moment, which is then actioning things,
Mhm.
but how that data is being stored, what that data is being used for, is absolutely critical before you even start having any oversight or any action associated with it. What are the challenges you see on that part?
No, that's you're spot on. There's a definite risk in compliance, right? On the one hand, you can yes feed all those rules uh, to the AI agent, but you have to be able to kind of monitor it again to make sure it stays compliant at all
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're investing in a solution that's kind of dealing with that kind of compliance issue, it's important to put guardrails around it
Hmm.
as to how far you let your AI agent go with actioning things,
Yeah.
or even with access to data in certain cases. So I would recommend take it in baby steps.
Hmm.
Don't go all in and be like, okay, now we are just going to feed the AI agent the GDPR rules and it's going to manage all our guest profiles.
Yeah.
That's a little putting too much faith in a baby, right? Who's still
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
So you gotta take that one step at a time again. You just have to be very careful with that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And another risk we see a lot of is third parties, let's say, who either for their own amusement or financial gain
Mhm.
are looking to access data.
Yeah.
And so data security seems to be becoming even more prominent than it has been in the past. And for
Mhm.
me, I just think you in a way having the data fragmented, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, and whether consolidating it and have that MDM as you referred to it,
Mhm.
that can have its pros and cons as well, because the moment I have it and managed successfully and it's in one place,
Yeah.
and then I'm starting to build a piece of technology that is going to access it, I just feel that creates a potential weakness that can be exploited if it isn't done well.
Well, I think it's from a security perspective. If someone were to access your data, uh, then they can go and organize it. Like they don't really need it to be as strategically organized as you need it for business purposes. If they're doing it to, target your guest list and
Mm-hmm.
exploit them,
Mm-hmm.
they don't need it to be very structured. In
Okay.
fact, unstructured data is harder to secure because you're not sure what information is sitting in which cell.
Gotcha.
So if you can kind of structure it, organize it, it's you can really kind of you're compartmentalizing your data. Now they're in their respective cells, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a jail
Yep.
versus people walking on the street, just kind of
Yep.
like going back and forth.
Yeah.
It's easier to kidnap someone and no one notices.
Yeah.
But
Than
if
to break someone out of a
an
jail.
inmate is missing from their cell, you notice
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's I would say that in order to make it more secure, it's more important that you get it really organized first. Uh,
And the security around having because if you're going out, there'll be companies will be starting up that'll say, hey, we'll build you an agent that'll be able to access your data. I mean, surely
yes,
that poses a potential risk in itself.
absolutely. Yes, that's a major threat, right? So you again go ahead, invest in the AI component. There's a lot of potential here. I don't want to be a fearmonger about it,
No.
but make sure that you do it in a controlled manner. You say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I don't want to start with my guest profiles. Maybe I'm just going to give you some high level market segment and booking channel data,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe geographic markets. These are markets I'm getting business from, and show me what you can do with this,
Mm-hmm.
and gradually kind of go into those kind of more regulated areas of the data.
Yeah.
So don't go in head first and just have agentic AI access everything and start doing everything. That's highly and that can be very reckless and can be quite dangerous. So organize, check, organize, check. Just kind of gradually keep moving forward with that and allow yourselves time
Mm-hmm.
to really digest how well it's working for you. FOMO is a real thing, right? Fear of missing out.
Yeah.
And so I can see a lot of hoteliers as well as technology providers will be tempted to just kind of do something reckless to say, we are going ahead. We're kind of leaping ahead with AI, and again, I'm not saying don't do it, but do it carefully. You got
Makes
to
sense.
make sure you have all the checks and balances in place. So, to a certain extent, it's the hare and the tortoise story.
Mm-hmm.
Slow and steady is how you
is the
get ahead.
race.
Yeah.
Good advice. And picking up on that advice as well, I'd like to get your viewpoints, because we're entering a period now where hoteliers start to think about 2026.
Mhm.
They're starting to get some early thoughts about their budgets for 2026. The media, event organizers can all be guilty, because you've got to follow the trend. And so
Sure.
they'll focus on the newest shiny tech, which promises the world. So at the moment, the flavor of the month, as we say, is AI agents and agentic AI. But you highlighted a little bit there. I mean, for hoteliers, A, it could cause confusion, i.e., what is this all about? B, it can be a distraction, because we can be distracted by little shiny things over in the corner. And I guess to some degree, does it create an element of hesitation in thinking, well, I want to invest. I know we need to invest, but
Mhm.
where do we invest? Do we hold off? Do we see how this develops? So what would you, if you were sitting down in a room and I put you on a table with a bunch of hoteliers that said, right, we're starting to put our budgets together for next year.
Mhm.
What are the thought processes? Not necessarily who should we be going to, but what should we be considering, and where should AI agents and agentic AI come into our factoring when we're
Mhm.
looking at our tech budget for 2026?
So that's an interesting question. I have always encouraged hoteliers to be progressive with their approach to technology.
Mm-hmm.
We can be very conservative at times. And there are plenty of examples where airlines and car rentals did things first, and we were kind of late to the party.
Yeah.
So I don't want us to be late to the party. I would, in the next 3 to 5 years, AI agents will be an expectation
Yeah.
from guests,
Mm-hmm.
from employees even, right? So if you want to attract good talent, you got to have these solutions even in your back office.
Yeah.
That nobody wants to sit there manually kind of transpose information from one sheet to the other.
Yeah.
So you have to start breaking away from those manual processes, and it creates a lot of efficiency too. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to think about, okay, what is my impact in terms of efficiency, profitability per employee that can go up if I can get them these AI agents.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the nature of our business is such, we have our budgets that we're looking at monthly budget, at most quarterly. But I would say that, think about AI as a 3 to 5 year roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so going into 2026, you have to see where you stand today. If you don't have master data management, start there.
Yeah.
If you don't have a revenue management system, that would be the next step. Or if you're there already, your data is organized, you're doing revenue management system, you have a CRM, you want to go to the next step, which is where I think most people are today. Then you should start looking at enhancing those capabilities. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
how do I get my RMS to kind of do a better pricing in terms of uh, uh, pricing decisions faster and more customization based on my brand and my market? And again, build human in the loop interfaces.
Yeah.
How do I get my CRM and my data analytics and my pricing to all talk to each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? Technology providers are building these platforms. You don't have to go and buy the latest version of everything they've built.
Yeah.
You have to look at where you are in your tech journey and say, okay, I'm going to take the next step and budget for that. It's not an option to just sit it out and wait and see where once everything is settled and AI is an expectation. If that's when you step in and you want to start using AI, you'll be late to the party and it'll cost you in terms of opportunity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you again don't want to go too deep in day one. You just have to kind of plan one step at a time. So don't let the fear of missing out dictate how much you invest in AI. invest in AI based on what is the natural progression from where you are and just take it one or two steps. That's it. Don't be overly ambitious with it, but don't be afraid to move forward either.
That's sounds like good sensible advice. Look, I'm conscious of your time. That's all the questions that I wanted to cover off with you today. So I really appreciate your insights, appreciate your views. I think you've got some interesting angles that you came up with. So that's really appreciated. And just again, I think, the advice that you've provided, particularly around the data piece, and then also about not the I don't like to say taking the time, although it was, take your time, don't rush into something, but a lot of people don't say that anymore. You don't hear a lot of people saying, just breathe for a minute, just think it through, work it out.
Yeah, this is like, oh my God, it's gonna change.
Yeah, it's like we're headless chickens and all run off. It's like, someone just stop for a minute and let's see what's going on here. So I think it's very refreshing to hear that. So thank you for that. That is appreciated.